Hello! In this video, we're going to be looking at how to build a church website in a matter of minutes. To begin the initial setup of our site, we'll need to open our SK8 Administration Manager. Once logged in, click on the SK Media icon, and we'll see a form where we can input our site data, such as our URL, address, and user permissions. Once filled out, simply click on the Create Site button, confirm our information, and we'll be redirected to the next stage. When we're initially directed to our new website, the first thing that appears is a menu with a variety of website templates for us to choose from. We're going to choose the top left template for this example. And the system's going to go ahead and build us a website to start working with right away. Once inside, we're going to be in edit mode. There's a question mark in the bottom right of the screen in case we want a tutorial, but for our purposes, we're going to get right into it. In edit mode, we have a set of options on our left, and we have a preview of our website on the right. As we hover over different areas of the site, we'll notice a set of icons appear above each area up to the left. Each of these major areas is called a group. Our sites are comprised of groups. As we hover over the group, we have icons that let us control, add to, and remove things from that group. And then within each group, we have sections. For instance, this is a text section, and as we hover over the sections, we get options to control the sections up to the right, the smaller set of icons. So we have group options to the left and section options up to the right. We can arrange groups on our page by clicking the Arrange Groups icon. So if we want to change the order of our groups, we can drag them up and down on the page and put them in a different location. Now we're going to keep them where they're at, and we'll click Done Arranging. The first thing we're going to edit on our site is the logo area up here. If we hover over this text, we get an Edit Logo option. Now, if we don't have a logo for our church, we can just type the text of the title of our church. We can save that, and that will appear in the upper left. If we do have a logo, though, we can upload that image. So we're going to change this to an image. We're going to choose a local file off of our drive, and this is our logo right here. So that's going to go ahead and upload to the site. Once it's there, we can click Save Changes, and we see our logo in the upper left. The next thing we'll change is the background image on our title header. We're going to go to our group properties because this background is attached to that group, and we're going to remove the image that's there. Now it's important to note that we can have three different types of backgrounds: a color, an image, or a video. For our purposes, we're just going to choose image for right now. We can retrieve that image from a location on our hard drive. We can choose an image that I've already uploaded to the server, or we can choose a stock photo. This is a really powerful feature. We've integrated with a system called Pixabay.com that provides 1.5 million royalty-free images for our use. So we're going to look through the various photos available and pick one that works for that area of our site. We're going to choose this one right here, and that's added to our site. Now another thing we can do is make our text more or less readable here by using an overlay color in this opacity slider. If we slide this darkened color up, we'll see our text comes out really clear. If we slide it way back, the text is less readable and blends in with the image. So probably somewhere in between. Right about 30% would look good, so we can still see the image while still being able to read the text well. So we're going to save those changes, and if we want to edit the text in our header, we can go ahead and simply click on it, and this brings us into the text editor, where we can alter the format, such as bolding, italicizing, and underlining, as well as various other font controls and styles. We can see here that we can easily change the text. We'll leave the button as it is for right now. We're going to save these changes, and this action is good. These changes become active on our site once we click that Save button. A couple of other really helpful features here are down on the lower left. We have different viewport options. Right now, we're looking at the desktop view of our site. If we click this middle option, we're looking at what our site would look like on a tablet. And then if we click the option all the way to the right, we can see what our site might look like on a mobile phone. And we can make adjustments to each of these and find the optimal presentation for all of them and save those changes separately. Right now, we're just going to continue working on the desktop version, and we're going to allow the other two to be automatically created, which generally works out very well. The next thing I'd like to change is this service times area. We're not going to make a lot of changes here. We can enter our own text, we could bold in all of the text, but right now we're just going to remove the underlining for the heading. Another thing we can do is add a little bit of padding so that this isn't so flush against the header. So in order to do that, we go to the group properties for this group. And under layout settings, we can add some top padding and save that change, and this section is good to go. This next section is called Tile Section, and it gives us different links to locations on our site. We're going to keep it, but we want to rename what it's linking to. So we're going to call this one History. We'll go ahead and save those changes, and next we will change the image that is used for that tile. So for the History tile, we're going to use a stock photo, and maybe something like a picture of some books would work well. So I'll choose this one here. If I'd like to, we can also adjust the number of tiles we have. We can change from 3 to 4 on a column or on a row. We'll keep it at 3 for now. We're going to save our changes, and then down here, we're going to delete this section. Next, we're going to create a new group and add a section to it. So we click Add Group and pick a blank template. Now we have an empty group. We can click Add Section, and we're presented with all the different types of sections that we can use. Most commonly, we'll be using plain text sections, headings, and images, things like that. But there are many different features we can add. Now we're going to use this one called an Upcoming Events section. It's just sort of a calendar preview. Now every calendar on SK Sites links to a Google Calendar. We just need to put in our Google Calendar ID. In this example, it's my Gmail address. It's not always going to be our Gmail address, and you can view Google's documentation to learn more about how to obtain your ID. But this one should work because it's a public calendar, and that is our calendar ID. So it puts in our events right here. We're going to use the Arrange Sections feature to make the Upcoming Events section a bit wider. And then we can save our changes there. We're going to go ahead and make this area with the map sort of a general contact section. So we're going to add a heading section to go over our contact form and then save our changes. Next, we'll add another section and input a form for people to contact us. So we're going to go ahead and click on Form for our section type, and we're going to use an existing form because there's a contact form built into the system. We can use it, we can modify it if we like, and it adds that to our group here. Next, we'll click on the form and make sure in the form settings that any submissions will go to our email address. So we'll enter our email in there and click off of the form. We want to arrange our sections a little bit so that it looks a little nicer. So we'll click on Arrange Sections, make the map smaller, and move it off to the right. We're going to take the form and make it occupy the left portion of the group, and we can move the input fields over like this as well. After that, we can change the background of the group. So we're going to click on Group Properties, and we're going to add an image. We'll do another stock photo. This one looks good. We're going to use our opacity slider to make sure our text is nice and readable, but we don't want to fade the image out too much. Once it's where we want it, we can click Save. There's one other group that we'll add to this homepage. We're going to go ahead and click Add Group on the left. This is going to be a sermon download library. So look for one called Media Library right here. And it asks us to choose a library, but we don't have one yet. So we'll create a new one and call it Sermons. We'll save our library and add the section. So we've got this new library section ready to go. And if we want to go ahead and start adding sermons here, we can go ahead and do that. We can click on Edit Media Library on the section options. And I'll add a file. For our purposes, we'll just choose a stock image, but you can upload an audio file from your computer. So for demo purposes, we'll double-click on that one, and I'll title it James 1 Pure Religion. Once that's uploaded, we can click Create and Add. We can type a subtitle, the name of the speaker, And if this were on audio file, we could also choose an image to go along with that sermon. Add that to our file and save our library. So, we have a media library now ready to go. We're going to go ahead and add 2 more files to this, but I'll do it off the camera, just so we can see what it looks like. Same process. So, I've got extra files added into our media library so we can see what that looks like. Just a couple more things to do here. There's this footer area that contains some basic site information that appears at the bottom of every page. We're going to go ahead and change that information by clicking on Site Settings. We can put in the name of our church here. If we have a link to social media sites, we can put our full Facebook link here, our Twitter link, and so on and so forth. And we can put our correct address and contact information here as well, and save those. And that will modify the footer. Once we're happy with the way the page looks, we can check out what our site looks like outside of edit mode, and without these icons showing up all over the place. We can click this option that says View Full Screen, and the system will open up a new tab where we can view our whole site and see what it looks like to the user. And of course, we can just close that tab or switch tabs to get back to our edit mode. It's a very simple process. We can get our site up and running in a matter of minutes. One last thing, if we want to add additional pages, we can do that here as well. And additional pages are created just the same way that we made this home page. We create the page, we add groups, and we add sections to the group. With our easy-to-use interface, getting your website up and running has never been easier.